Hey Gators and sports fans, get all your Gator talk, news, analysis, and opinions on the Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on Facebook Live between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. every weekday. Pod Up, because we are Gator fans. So say, it's great to be a Florida Gator.
Good morning. Welcome to a Thursday edition of Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Got a lot to talk about today. Gators cranked up football yesterday. I went out there and watched a little bit of it. A lot of stuff going on. And, of course, it's Thursday. That means we're going to have our college football analyst, Heisman Trophy voter, Brent Beaird, join us. Good morning, Brent. You're on the Titan MR hotline. How are you, my man?
Well, doing well. Good to be on with you guys, and Shane, it was great to see you on Monday. We got to spend a little bit of time together at the high school media day with Baker Brothers. They do a great job with that, so it was fun catching up.
Yes, no doubt. It was great. See, Brent is always, just so people know, when media days roll around, Brent's always the best dressed in his suits, looking the part. Brent, college football cranked up. I think, are we 30 days away? Is that correct?
Yeah, that's basically right. Yes.
Yeah, because I've been throwing it out there to our listeners. Who's their favorite Gator to wear number 30? Now that's an odd number. I have only one guy that I can think of that wore number 30 that played during my time. But the people will pop up, different players. Brent, I went out to practice yesterday. I actually got to see. They're supposed to move into the football standalone facility August 14th or 15th.
Yeah,
I don't see that. I don't know how that's possible. But I walked through the whole thing, and good gracious alive, I ain't gonna lie, I'm jealous. I've never got to participate in that. It's unbelievable.
Well, and as Shane and I've talked for a while, it's people may not like the buildings, but the buildings are part of the arms race. And everyone needs one. And yes, $85 million standalone building to open on August 14th. So, yeah, that's a great point. That's in 10 days. So
there ain't no way. I'm going to go out on a limb right now and say, unless they bring in about 12 more crews that work 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
Number 30, best. Okay, I didn't even think of that one because that was before my time. James Jones wore number 30 for the Gators. So obviously a tremendous player here at the University of Florida. Brent, also, I wanted to mention, before we jump into your notes, just so people know, I did watch practice a little bit here and there. I was extremely impressed with Ricky Pearsall.
Yes.
The transfer from Arizona State. Now, first day in shorts. He's by far the quickest receiver we have, best route runner we have, just a smooth. You know who he reminds me of? He's a little bit taller, but about the same stature. He reminds me of Travis McGriff.
Wow.
Now, if he can produce like Travis, good gracious, that'd be great. But to me, he looked like the most polished receiver that we have on the roster at this time. So it was good to see. It was good to be out there. It was hot, but it's hard to believe, 30 days away. So, Brent, you got any other stuff you want to talk about before we jump into this thing?
Well, the great thing is we are getting teams on the field. I mean, we've got 2 or 3 who are going on every day, and that makes a big difference. So that I've always loved this week. It's so good to be able to do that. I think a couple of immediate things we need to get out of the way. The NCAA Division I Board of Directors took no action to adopt the transfer reforms during a meeting on Wednesday. This is the Transformation Committee headed by Greg Sankey. They wanted more time to look at the transfer windows. Remember, we talked about narrowing the windows, and they also wanted to look at immediate eligibility after more than one transfer. They meet again on August 30th or 31 to reconsider. Doesn't mean it's dead. It just means they want more time to look at it and see where it's going. Now, to me, the bigger thing that happened yesterday, and I give On3, the website, credit for this, whether we like this or not, Congress is going to get involved with college sports. And one of the things that came out yesterday was there are a couple of senators, at least, who are trying to reintroduce a bill that would give players a right to transfer an unlimited number of times. Still not sure how smart that is, but here's a part of it that really caught my eye, and I'm not going into the whole bill, but this is one that I thought was very interesting. Players would also be allowed to return to college if they declare for a professional draft, as long as they do not receive compensation, and it is within 7 days after the draft. Now, for some players, again, they just get bad advice. They should go back another year, improve their value, and then go into the draft. But some people do. They don't get drafted. So what do? They're in limbo. So this might give them a little bit of breathing room by being able to come back. But look, the other side of that, Shane, is we know if we do that, what's that going to do to roster management, and what problems will that bring up? So just a couple of quick things I wanted to throw out there before we got going.
Yeah, no doubt. I also saw where Tommy Tuberville, who's a senator or something out of the state of Alabama, he's going to kind of spearhead this whole name, image, and likeness from a federal standpoint, which, look, it's ridiculous that that you got to get Congress involved in it, but at least he's a former guy who's been in the trenches and understands this, because majority of those folks sitting up there, they have no clue about college athletics. But I think he will do a good job in whatever he can do to try to get this thing regulated. Don't you think?
Yeah, you're right. At least he has some background in that he understands it. Now, to me, the really good thing that they're doing with this, and you can talk more about this than most, is they're trying to help the players, and I see this in several things going on right now, in insurance, as far as health, wellness, safety standards. There's a establishment of a medical trust fund. And look, there are just some things here, probably, Shane, that we don't talk enough about that really need, shall we say, improving or beefing up, that would help even beyond football to carry into, frankly, a lot of their adult life. So we'll certainly watch for this. That deserves more attention than what it's getting.
Yeah. Before we jump into football that we care about down here in the South, in your notes here, and I haven't kept up with this, and maybe I misread it, but the Big 12 is trying to take a couple of teams from the Big 10.
Yeah, that was a story that came out the other day, and I think it was Minnesota. And why they're necessarily looking at them is, I'm not quite sure. But that was kind of one of the things that came out with that. Look, still behind the scenes, there's still a lot that's going on here with the. All the media days have kind of come and gone, but this is still happening. Dennis Dodd gives us basically the latest on expansion. He's got his finger on the pulse of it with this. And what he's saying is the Big Ten is no longer interested in adding California, Oregon, Stanford, or Washington. That they are absolutely interested in adding Notre Dame, and that's probably what they're going to be concentrating on. He also says that last year the Pac-12 actually had a chance to bring in some teams from the Big 12, but it was voted down with this, so they decided not to do it. And Dennis Dodd talked to one of the Big 12 athletic directors who said we would have all jumped if they would have taken us. So look, the Pac-12 has really struggled with this as far as leadership is concerned, and that they have cost themselves, I think, dearly with a lot of what's going on. So without getting in the weeds too much with that, there's still plenty that's going on. Again, it's kind of going dormant at this point. Never dead, but dormant. So, but we'll keep our eye on it.
I fail to believe this as well, but, at Pac-12 Media Days, and maybe our fans know this because they keep up with it more than I do, but I would have thought that people picked the USC Trojans with Lincoln Riley and all the transfers that are rolling there to win the Pac-12. But no, it's the Utah Utes, the defending champs, have been predicted to win the conference again. Did that surprise you at all?
No, it really doesn't, because Utah's a better team than Southern Cal right now. The problem is, now, as we said a few weeks ago, Southern Cal may win the national championship if they're playing 7-on-7 football, but since we're not playing 7-on-7 football, what is not talked about enough is along the line of scrimmage, and particularly defensively, USC is nowhere near where they need to be because, frankly, they just haven't recruited the athletes they need in the trenches. But Utah has. And again, one thing Shane and I have been talking about is, and I think Gator fans probably understand this Utah game is going to be really difficult. It's been a close game with the odds makers all along. No real surprises because of the recruiting, the experience that Utah has over Southern Cal. And again, to their credit, frankly, in the Rose Bowl last year, Shane, Utah should have beat Ohio State. They had them on the ropes, and to Ohio State's credit, they came back and won. But at this point, yes, that is who has been predicted to win the Pac-12, and I think they're spot on with that.
Yeah. Are you in the market to buy or sell your home? Doreen Weeby, a realtor with Caldwell Banker M.M. Parrish, will provide you with fast, friendly, and reliable service. Give her a call today at 352-562-1411 to help your dreams come true. Speaking with Brent Beaird, our college football analyst on the Titan Moore Hotline. Got a couple of Facebook Lives before we move on here. Tony asks Brent, did you pull an all-nighter after hosting a show here in Jax last night?
Yeah, we had a chance to host with Chuck Kelly at Ron Compton's show. We went from 8 to 10, and we enjoyed that a lot. It was fun to host, but got back, and after letting the cats out, jumped back on preparing for Punt Up with Matthew. So you see the priority there, okay?
Joseph has a question for you here, brought to you by Mellon Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. He says, Brent, what's your opinion of Utah at number 4 going into the season? Georgia's at 5. Do you really think Utah is better than Georgia?
No, frankly, there's no way, no how Utah has better a roster than Georgia does. Georgia, in recruiting the last 4 and 5 years, has been either like 1, 2, or 3. Now, Utah has some real athletes, and they've coached them up well. That's a really, really good program. But no, Georgia, has better players. But again, we know that, and by the way, the Associated Press poll's coming out, I'm guessing probably this weekend or next Monday. And that poll will mirror what we've got in the preseason magazines. Good question. I think Utah's got a really good team. They'll be predicted by everybody to be in the top 10. But no, I don't think they're a better team than Georgia.
We've got a text here on the Titan Mark text line from Jay out in Utah, by the way. He says he's been out there since March, and the Utah Utes and their fans seem to be very confident about September the 3rd. So should be a lot of fun leading up to that. Brent, in your notes here, this is staggering. I can't wait for people to hear this. Let's talk about the 2017 coaching disasters.
Sometimes you have a lot of coaches in a year that either it really works out well or it doesn't. So the 2017 coaches, to just run through this, Jimbo Fisher at A&M, obviously that worked, or it worked better than some others. Scott Frost at Nebraska, Dan Mulling at Florida, Chip Kelly at UCLA, Willie Taggart at Florida State, Kevin Sumlin at Arizona, Jonathan Smith at Oregon State, Herm Edwards at Arizona State, Joe Moorhead at Mississippi State, Jeremy Pruitt at Tennessee, oh my, Chad Morris at Arkansas, even more, oh my, Mario Cristobal at Oregon, and Matt Luke at Ole Miss. So, Shane, is it safe to say there were more misses than hits on that year, right?
Yeah, it's only out of the 13 of those head coaches, only 5 have reached year 5 of their contract, and some of those are Scott Frost, who's obviously in a lot of trouble, Herm Edwards, maybe not so much on the field, but they had a lot of problems off the field. So it's crazy. It is absolutely crazy how the turnover is in college sports now when it comes to being a head coach. So that's why I said you got to have some patience, and I think the Gator fans need to have patience. Brent, we're not far away from week 0. I know you're going to be tuned in. I'm going to be tuned in, but I'm looking here at your odds that you sent. Hawaii must be horrible because they're playing at home and they're an underdog to Vanderbilt.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yes. And Hawaii is not very good. Timmy Chang, the former quarterback, is their coach, so they're trying to figure it out. Now, Hawaii does not have a lot of really good facilities. That's something they're trying to work on. I mean, you would think, gosh, it's paradise out there, and that's about the only thing they've got from the collegiate level. Now they're improving, doing what they can. But listen, this is really important. This is a must-win for Vanderbilt. They badly win. They need this game. By the way, that is a 10:30 kick on CBS, not CBS, the main CBS, but the other CBS Sports channel. I don't know if Shane Matthews will make it to halftime in that one, but we'll certainly see that first half, right?
Well, see, here's Brent. I rest up all off season because I'm that guy. Now, I may not watch the whole game, but I'll tune in. I want to say Hawaii, and it may not be open yet, but I want to say they built or are building a little small on-campus stadium, similar like the UABs in Troy and those places have done. Because that place, I actually played in the Hula Bowl All-Star game my senior year, and it was a dump back in '92.
Sure.
And I can't imagine what that place is like now, where they used to have the NFL Pro Bowl. So we'll see. Yeah, I'll watch probably the first quarter, first half of that for sure.
Shane, real quick, what we can't forget, Duquesne at Florida State. And then you've got Nebraska versus Northwestern. I believe that one's in Dublin, as a matter of fact. So we'll go into this more later. But again, it's football. We'll be watching.
No doubt. Dan Mullen looks like he's going to be working for ESPN, Brent.
I'm not really surprised about this at all. Dan actually, I thought, did a pretty good job with the. I believe the network had him with the SEC championship game. So look, I mean, Dan can talk X's and O's. I don't have any doubt about that. And he's gotten pretty good reviews when he's been on television. So he's considering that offer is what we understand with it. And I think this would be more, help me on if you've heard more, Shane. I think this would be more studio than it would probably be game day analysis. So we will wait and see where that goes. But I think a lot of people thought that's what he would be doing coming up in the fall. Now, I'm sure a lot of your listeners are thinking, well, hopefully they won't ask him any recruiting questions, but on the other stuff, he should do fine.
Real quick before we jump into a couple other things, the transfer portal. You have here, there was over 1,500 scholarship players that went into the portal. 1,500 found new places. I wonder how out of those people that went into the portal, Brent, say you're a D1 player, how many stayed at the D1 level, or how many of them had to drop down because they couldn't get a scholarship from another school? I don't know if there's any statistics out there for that. I'm sure somebody has it somewhere.
There are. As a matter of fact, I'll look that up. 2,000 basically entered the portal. 1,500 found new homes, as Shane said. 80, this is interesting, Shane, 80 returned to their previous school. But the problem is there's still 440 scholarship players still looking for a program. And Shane, camps have opened. That's not a good deal for those guys, is it?
No, not at all. We just got a text referring to Aloha Stadium in Hawaii. How about that, Brent?
Excellent.
This is from Bubba in Charlotte, tells us on the Titan More hotline, or text line, I should say. Aloha Stadium is being demolished later this year because it was found unsound structurally. I remember the damn locker rooms back in 1992 were horrible. It was almost like it was going to cave in. So
right.
We appreciate Bubba letting us do that. Also, we just got a text here from Frank. He says, how much do analysts like Dan Mullen get paid by networks like ESPN? Oh, he'll be making over $1 million easily. Don't you think?
Look, if you're bringing someone in like a Dan Mullen, believe me, they're going to pay him well. And ESPN certainly has the money in order to do it. So that's a really good question, frankly. That would be fascinating to know what a lot of these guys are paid. By the way, we need to mention August is a dead period in recruiting. No campus visits, no unofficial or official visits, no off-campus contact, no coaches visiting high schools, no coaches calling prospects. They can text. So, Shane, I'm guessing that's a huge relief off your staff. In other words, August it should be. It's a month, coaches and players, and that is it. So developing your guys, getting ready for the season. So that dead period, I think, really comes in handy.
No doubt, because you got to focus on your season, upcoming season, your practice, your training camp. High school kids need to do the same. Ted says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Melton Law, Doring should keep Mullen in line at ESPN. They won't be on the – Doring's with SEC Network.
Yes.
Mullen's going to be working for ESPN. So he may be in studio with Jesse Palmer, Joey Galloway,
sure.
that crew.
Sure. Right.
Yeah, but he won't be he won't be with Doring at the SEC Network. No. Brent, you've been having a little power poll that we've talked about each week that your buddy Matt Hayes does, talking about competition at the SEC training camps. Majority of these are quarterback battles, obviously, but you want to talk a little bit about some that jumped out at you? Yeah,
Georgia's got defensive end Tyrone Ingram Dawkins versus Tremel Walthour and Mikael Williams. Now, look, I know our listeners won't know all these names, but these are some good competition. Alabama, Tyler Steen from Vanderbilt versus J.C. Latham and Tommy Brockermeyer. A&M, Max Johnson versus Haynes King. You've also got LSU, obviously, Miles Brennan, Jaden Daniels, Garrett Nussmeier in competition with each other. Florida, Matt Scott, Jaden Hill, Avery Helm, Jalen Kimber. If Jaden Hill is healthy, he's a real player. Ole Miss, Luke Altmaier and Jackson Dart will be interesting. Auburn, Zach Calzada, TJ Finley, Robbie Ashford, who transferred from Oregon. And then Missouri's Brady Cook, Tyler Macon, Sam Horn, and Jack Abram. Jack Abram came from Mississippi State, but we kind of forget about him. But he's in that mix too. So always some fascinating count battles, and these are just some of them from different teams.
Yeah, speaking with Brent Beaird here on the Titan More Hotline, you can follow Brent at Brent Beaird on Twitter. Let's move to the SEC. Some sad news. Hopefully it's not too bad, but there's some health issues with the voice of the Crimson Tide, Eli Gold, which is one of the great voices in college football. What's going on there, Brent?
Yeah, we don't know all this, but the health issues are enough to where Eli will not start the season at least. Now, Shane, were you aware he has been there since 1988?
I did not realize that. And, for some people out there that may not know this, but Eli Gold used to be the voice of NASCAR.
That's right. Yes.
And,
yes.
And then he was doing both, I think, for a long time. And then I guess I don't know what year it was, but became full-time with Alabama. But
right.
It's just one of those, when you listen to those shows that the SEC has done on the voices of the Southeastern Conference, he's just one that you'll always remember. So our thoughts and prayers are with Eli. Eli's pretty up there. He's up there in age, right?
Yeah. And I need to find out what that is. But Chris Stewart, who does Alabama basketball and baseball, will be doing Alabama football. And again, what we don't know is this just for a few games? Is this for the whole year? I'm sure they'll come out with that one way or another. But Chris Stewart is really, really good. He's very humorous too, so I think the fans will enjoy him. But again, like a Mick Hubert, like a Larry Munson, fans love their play-by-play guy. And as Shane said, Eli Gold is very much one of the best in the business. He comes from the New York area, but is as good of a professional broadcaster, frankly, as there is. So he will certainly be missed.
Yeah. Speaking of broadcasters, I saw the new voice of the Gators, Sean Kelly, out at practice yesterday, getting acclimated with his Florida Gator roster. Sticking with Alabama, obviously, what's funny, Greg tells us here, we got great listeners because they do research for us, Brent. 68 years old, Eli Gold.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, that's not very old in my opinion.
No, I thought he was much older than that.
Yeah.
Alabama, I read somewhere like a month or two ago that they were nowhere to be seen in the top 10, 15 in recruiting rankings. Now all of a sudden, look out, here they come.
Yeah, well, as a matter of fact, they've gone from in the 30s to where right now they're number one.
Yeah.
So they have really narrowed their focus. One of the latest, Hunter Osborne, who is a tremendous defensive lineman, 6'4", 260, and they have, as a matter of fact, they flipped a tight end, Ty Lockwood from Ohio State. So, and I know our listeners aren't real familiar with the names, but just suffice to say that they have really stepped up recruiting, like Florida has, by the way, and have zoomed up the rankings. So Saban's an elite recruiter, has always been. And by the way, Alabama starts practice today.
Let's move down to south of the state there in the state of Alabama a little bit. Let's go to Auburn. I think Auburn is going to surprise some people this year. I have no idea why I think that. I think because they had such a bad year last year. I go back to that Alabama game. They had them beat. Obviously, Tank Bigsby coming back is huge for them. Brent, I don't even know if they started practice. They start today. What are your people in Auburn? Who do they think is going to win this quarterback battle? Because we know that's the most important position on the roster. They have 3 guys battling for it. Who do you think comes out of that?
Well, that's going to be tough to see where that is actually going. Zach Calzada, who is at A&M. Now, look, he looked almost as good as Shane Matthews versus Alabama. But the rest of the season, frankly, he was average. So T.J. Finley, obviously from LSU, Robbie Ashford, he was at Oregon, but he never really played. So, as Shane said, I mean, that's the key position for them. Calzada may get it because of his experience. That is going to be a really good battle. I think why people are like Auburn a little bit more as they really looked at it is you mentioned Bigsby, who easily is one of the better running backs in the league. I mean, he's that good. Frankly, they need to find a number 1 receiver. Shedrick Jackson is the best returning receiver. That would be interesting. But their offensive line returns a lot of experience. And what I'm hearing is their defense could be really good. They've got 5 straight home games to start the year. 5, Shane. One of those is Penn State. Now, they've got a gruesome schedule in the SEC after that. But, look, they still could win what? I mean, they could be 7-5, 8-4. But the question is, will the boosters at Auburn, with a record like that, allow him to keep his job?
Yeah, speaking of that, Joseph has a question for you, brought to you by Metal Law. And your brother may answer this better because he's living in the state of Alabama. But what is the pulse on Brian Harsin at Auburn right now with the people in the state of Alabama?
Well, some of that fan base actually like him because he reminds people a little bit of Pat Dye. Now, what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is Pat Dye came in. That was at Wyoming, but he obviously had SEC ties. But that was tough. He was a line of scrimmage, run the ball, and we're going to play great defense kind of guy. And Harsin's a little bit about like that too. But the thing that Dye did that, frankly, no other coach did at Auburn, probably except for Shug Jordan years ago, is he kept the boosters away. He kept them in arm's length. And Harsin's not playing. Harsin's a tough-nosed guy. And, look, he came out at SEC Media Days and say, look, the coup didn't work. I'm still here. So I give him credit for that. And I think Auburn fans in general are willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. But again, I don't know, Shane, if the people who make the decisions at Auburn will.
Yeah. Let's move to the Florida Gators. Started practice yesterday. As I said, the most impressive guy in shorts to me was Ricky Pearsall.
Right.
But Billy Napier's done a tremendous job here recently, as of late, getting some big-time recruits for the 2023 class.
Well, they were at 28, and they've climbed up to 12. Look, I've told people I've spoken to as far as booster groups that I think they'll have a top 10 class before it's over. And again, I give him a lot of credit. He's done what he said he was going to do. All of them have come within 350 miles of Gainesville. 14 of the 16, and I know the numbers vary, are 4-star prospects. And I think that's very important. to look at that. And listen, our friend Chris Doring, I know he's taking some criticism for this, but frankly, he was honest and said our fan base has become the worst in terms of criticism and lack of patience. I know you've dealt with that, and we won't belabor the point here. But what Shane and I've said for a long time, this guy knows what he's doing. Gator fans are going to be patient. Really good things are coming down the line with this too. And hopefully, if I saw this correctly, they've got 3 scholarship players, only 3 in non-contact right now: Richard Garage, Dakota Mitchell, and Jonathan Odom. Check me if I'm wrong on that, Shane. But I'm sure they're working their way to get back into contact as soon as possible.
Yeah, you're correct. Those are the guys I saw in black jerseys outside of the quarterbacks yesterday. The Georgia Bulldogs. Anything happening up in Athens?
Brock Bowers, his shoulder is cleared for practice. I'm sure all the SEC defensive coordinators love to hear that. He's a tight end who's really a wide receiver. Just an incredible football player. Their center, Clay Webb, has transferred to Jacksonville State, former 5-star recruit. So look,
there's one of those examples of a D1 guy dropping down a level.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. It just didn't work out at Georgia. Arian Smith broke his leg in November, and he has been cleared for practice. This is pretty comical. Get this, Shane. He has 5 catches in 2 years, but his average per catch, 37 yards a catch.
Wow, that's crazy.
Really?
Brent, there's a stat in your notes here that blows me away, and I'm going to throw it out there to our listeners. They may know it already, but what offense in the Southeastern Conference led last year with 41 plays of 30 yards or more, which was the top in the conference? I wonder if our people, we'll come back to that in just a second. I wonder if people would get that or not.
Good.
Let's see. Are you buying the Tennessee hype, Brent?
No. I'm again. I'll say this. I'll say the same thing I did for Southern Cal. If you're playing 7-on-7 football with Hendon Hooker and the receivers, yes, but we don't play 7-on-7 football. We play. They've got to have a defense. The defense got to be better. I'm not saying that they don't have players, but look, we've had respected people in the media who have come out over the last two or 3 weeks to say Tennessee's going to beat Georgia or Alabama. Now, I don't buy that. Frankly, are they headed in the right direction? Yes, they are, but it's only the second year, and they will continue to get better. They've got a big game with Pitt early on. One of their running backs, Laneith Whitehead, is injured. And they've got a couple of freshmen who may step up, and Dylan Sampson and Justin Williams. Jeremy Banks could really be very good also. And they've got a guy for the all-name team. They've got a freshman wide receiver who is really turning heads. Squirrel White is his name. How about that, Shane? But he's really looked good. First of all, they thought he was going to be good. He really has been. But if he plays well, that first name of Squirrel is going to excite a lot of people.
No doubt. Text on the Titan Mark text. I'm referring to us from Jay out in Utah about Billy Napier. He's got 14 4-star recruits from within 350 miles. All things considering, that's better than being 12th in the country. So we'll see. They'll move up for sure. Brent, I want to ask you about Mississippi State and Ole Miss. You know, Ole Miss had a really good year last year, but they lost, I think, 13 or 14 starters, and obviously they replaced some from the portal. But for some reason, I feel like Mississippi State is going to have the better year this year than Ole Miss. Am I crazy to think that? I don't know why I think that.
No, they're really under the radar. But see, what I like about them is their defense. I mean, the air raid is one thing, and they've got Memphis, Arizona, and at LSU and Bowling Green, so that's going to be important for them for September. But they've got guys. Their cornerback Emmanuel Forbes is frankly as good as anybody in the conference. I like their secondary too. So, and we know what they've got Will Rogers and what he can do. But I think, look, I would agree with that. I think they are very much under the radar, and that's going to be very important. And Shane, another thing that I would be remiss if I don't mention this, we've been wondering what is up with Chris Rodriguez, the running back in Kentucky. Now, and this is from reports, this is not rumor, that he accepted a guilty plea from prosecution, pretrial conference. He was arrested in May, charged with no tail lamps, careless driving, driving a motor vehicle under the influence of alcohol. So no real update so far on his situation. And the reason I bring this up, obviously, for the on-the-field stuff, we paid so much attention to Utah and Florida, but we can't forget, and frankly, it's even a more important game to me than the Utah game. They play Kentucky, the second game of the year. So, Shane, look, and you know this, and some of our listeners may not, but Chris Rodriguez is a 1,000 to 1,200 yard running back every year. So, again, I think they'll clear this up. I think he'll play. It's similar to what Anaya Smith, the wide receiver at Texas A&M, went through. But it's critical they have Rodriguez back this season.
No doubt. A couple of texts here, questions for you, Brent, before we get you out of here. This is from Jonathan. He lives outside of Columbia, South Carolina, who's a Gator, but also follows South Carolina. It's a long one. It's basically regarding Spencer Rattler. He says, Brent, what is your thoughts on Spencer Rattler? I know he's highly recruited, but I just don't see him taking the Gamecocks to the next level. Your thoughts?
Well, that's what we don't know. Shane and I have talked about how talented the guy is, and he is. I mean, he has in 2020, 3,000 yards, 28 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Last year, on 5 games, 11 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. So the touchdown to interception ratio is good. The question is, how mature is he? That's always been the thing for me. But see, they need a running game, and Marshawn Lloyd, if he comes back, that's going to make a big difference. I think they could be fairly good defensively, but again, the thing that cost them last year, they cannot win on the road. They really struggled. They've lost 9 of the last 10 SEC road games, and in every one of those losses, they could not run the ball. So, Shane, if you put all that together, that's a problem, isn't it?
It is, but they ran that damn football right down our throat last year at home.
Yeah,
I know that.
Yeah.
Another text on the Titan Amar text line from Bobby in Fort Worth, Texas. Hey, I love the show. Love when Brent is on. I'm a Gator living out here in Texas, but I'm curious of Brent's thoughts on how much pressure is Jimbo under this year?
Well, look, even if they have a disaster, Jimbo is not going to be fired, but the seat would be warmer. But they've got to be better than 8-4. Let's just be honest about that. They've got a big September game with Miami. They'll beat Miami because Miami can't block them. That's the issue with that. Now, what he's done, to his credit, with Jimbo is has recruited very well on the line of scrimmage. Their defensive line may not be immediately, but their defensive line is going to be one of the better defensive lines in the league coming up the next 2 or 3 years. Still got to find a quarterback. Anaya Smith is really good. this A-Chain kid at running back, I think, is one of the better running backs in the league. So, and Shane understands the relationship with the quarterback. He is hard on quarterbacks, and you've got to have a thick skin, right, Shane, in order to play for him. So, but again, I don't think they beat Alabama and Tuscaloosa. Alabama circled that game.
That is blowout city written all over it. I'm talking massacre.
Yes, I would agree with that. So to answer the question, he won't be fired if they have another 8-4. But that's not what they built them to be. And I think he knows that. I think he knows they've got to be significantly better than they were last year.
Yeah. Brent, you going to hunker down tonight and watch the Jags? We got football tonight, believe it or not.
Well, isn't it great? I mean, just to have any kind of football right now it is tremendous. And Shane, I know it's not football, but I'm really grieved over the loss of Bill Russell with the Celtics and Vin Scully with the Dodgers. Look, I don't care what you do in sports. You have to appreciate greatness. And that was greatness in both those guys, and it's really tough to see them pass on.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Brent, great stuff. We went way over your allotted time. I apologize, but had a lot to cover, and you do a great job doing it, and we appreciate your time.
Always. And Shane, great to see you, my friend, on Monday.
Yes, sir. That's our great Brent Beaird. Join us on the Titan MR hotline, the Heisman Trophy voter and college football analyst. Going to take a timeout, come back, and get to more of these Facebook Live and Titan MR text. You're watching and listening to Pot Up with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Our Gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co., Ruse Ogra State Farm Insurance, Doreen Wiebe Realtor Caldwell Banker M.M. Parish. Our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Rib Company, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Okido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteaks, MB Listing, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Avra and Smith, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the Advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure you follow us and support the businesses that support us.
August 11th, our restaurant Spurrier's Gridiron Grill will be celebrating our one-year anniversary, and we're inviting you to Celebration Point. Proceeds from the event will go to the Ronald McDonald House, and we'll have a spread of your favorite Spurrier dishes, as well as special guests, but you have to get a reservation. So go to Spurriers.com right now and reserve your spot before it sells out. And thank you for a super first year. Go Gators!
Football legend Emmitt Smith understands your joint pain.
It does not surprise me that there are a ton of people out there that's in pain.
That's why Emmitt is such a proponent of QC Kinetics, offering real lasting joint pain relief with non-surgical, all-natural biologic treatments.
Whether it's a joint pain, ankle pain, shoulder pain, neck pain, back pain, hip pain, any kind of pain, the body eventually will break down when it's under that much stress.
That stress can cloud your judgment to the point that you'll just say yes to the scalpel or yes to another prescription of pain pills. But maybe it's time for a second opinion from QC Kinetics.
The reason why I would recommend this is because the natural biologics that QC Kinetics is providing you gives your body a chance to naturally heal itself.
Restorative, regenerative solutions are here. Get lasting relief and live your life.
Call QC Kinetics, 352-400-4550. That's 352-400-4550. QC Kinetics, 352-400-4550.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Celebration Points, where the Gators go to celebrate, with premium brands like Escape Apology, Sushi Hana, Regal Cinemas, Kilwins, Le Macaron, Prime and Pro in the HBC's restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, where every Saturday and Sunday from 11 to 2:30, you can get the hottest brunch in town. See you at Celebration Point, where the Gators go to celebrate. And a week from tonight is the 1-year anniversary. Get your tickets at spurriersgridiron.com. I want to thank our man Brent Beaird for joining us on the Titan Number Hotline. Don't forget, Jags play the Raiders tonight in the Hall of Fame game. You will not see Trevor Lawrence or Travis Etienne. Ken says here on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mellog, got on late, but did you and Brent talk about the Gator Media Day? I watched it, loved hearing about the discipline, wearing the same color socks. We did not, but we've talked. I mean, look, this dude has changed the culture. I could kind of see it at practice yesterday. It's going to take time. Will that translate into a bunch of wins? I hope so. But I think it's going to be a building process. But he's a sharp dude, man. He's great at the podium. Love all his answers. I love what he does out there on the field. So we shall see. Like I said, was out there for about an hour last year. Joseph asked, "Who's my number 30?" Like I said, I did not realize James Jones wore number 30. That was before my time, but he's by far the best. Kelvin Randolph, fullback for the Gators. Back when I played, we called him Pop. And he wore number 30, I believe. Hope I'm right about that. Hell, he was my teammate. I should know that. Played fullback, really good protector of the quarterback and protections. At Chris Doring Mortgage, they do mortgage lending right, helping home buyers throughout Gainesville and North Central Florida. Call Chris Doring Mortgage today at 352-244-0840. JC will be with us tomorrow. We'll do a little Peachland Dentistry, Gator Nation's #1 choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte and surrounding areas. Go visit them at peachlanddental.com. But yeah, yesterday's practice, the most impressive guy that I saw, and I wasn't there long, but just it was in shorts. It was just like running routes on air and things of that nature. But just the quickness, the crisp route running, the explosiveness of Ricky Pearsall really stood out to me. And I said it earlier in the show, he reminds me a lot of Travis McGriff. He's a little taller and maybe a little slimmer than Travis. Travis was a shorty, compact guy who ran good routes. You know, people don't realize this, but Travis was one of our greatest wideouts we've ever had here. He holds the record. Great trivia question for you people. He's the single season yardage record holder at the wide receiver position with all the great receivers we've had here. So hopefully Ricky Pearsall can have a big year. Joseph says Trey Smack is going to set records in number 30. He's wearing number 30. I didn't even know. Our kicker is wearing number 30. That's a strange number for a kicker. But when you're a freshman kicker, they just give you whatever's left. Unless he wore 30 in high school, I don't know. This Day in Sports brought to you by our good friends at Comfort Temp. Comfort is our business. Peace of mind is our promise. Beat the summer heat. Schedule your air conditioner's tune up today, keeping you chill in the Florida heat far away. Comfort Tip Heating and Air. Call us today, 352-376-2366. In 1985, the Yankees retired Baseball Hall of Fame shortstop Phil Rizzuto's number 10. That's another one of those numbers. They got a ton of retired numbers there for the Yankees. I'm not a big fan of retiring numbers, but that's This Day in Sports, brought to you by our good friends at Comfort Temp. Yeah, we have no numbers retired in football anymore, and you won't see any retired. Joe said, never mind. He was number 29. Save him tomorrow. I got the best 29 in Gator history. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Tony says, better than Chris Howard's number 71. You ain't lying. 71 on a kicker is just awful. Awful, awful, awful. Give me like number 97 instead of 71. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed today's program. Again, we have football tonight. The NFL Hall of Fame game. Raiders against y'all's Jaguars. And then this weekend, Tony Baselli from the Jags is going to the Hall of Fame. Former Florida State Leroy Butler, really good player for the Packers, will be going in as well. Have a great day, folks. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care.